I'm Patrick Brown here with Ryan Callahan. It is Tuesday of Alabama week. We are here on Tennessee's campus. Just talked to two assistant coaches, running backs coach Darrell Sims, secondary coach Willie Martinez, and three players, defensive lineman Tyree West and Daevin Hobbs, and wide receiver Mike Matthews. And talking to the coaches, Ryan, we'll start on defense because that's where a lot of the questions are for Tennessee in general and going into this game against Alabama. Willie Martinez, a couple questions about being better on third and long. Arkansas was 7 of 13 on third down last week. I believe 5 of those were at least 6 yards or more, maybe. A lot of third and longs.
Yeah.
They've got to get off the field in those situations. And then zone coverage, too. That's been an issue for this team really throughout the Tim Banks, Willie Martinez tenure. They've got to be better at it, or at least more consistent at it.
Yeah, they have to, and the zone coverage thing has been weird. It's kind of been a long-term issue. It seems like just not as effective in that coverage. And Willie Martinez talking today is about players kind of knowing who teams go to, kind of knowing their tendencies and which players to watch, and play recognition, route recognition, things like that. Just sort of being aware. And then he mentioned sometimes that guys are even in the right place and just aren't making plays, or generally in the right place. And then a lot of it's obviously comes down to being in the right place at the right time, and the ball just kind of being thrown your way when you're in zone coverage. But if you're running the coverage as expected, you're usually going to almost luck into some plays sometimes just from being there. And Tennessee's not had a lot of those breaks for whatever reason. So they've got to get better in that area. Definitely got to get better on third and long. That's been an issue for them. That pass rush certainly can help in that area, but you're not going to get there every time. That's where Tennessee's going to be better on the back end and more consistent in coverage, and got to be better than covering the middle of the field too. The linebackers, it's on everybody, and they've not really been good in any particular area aside from the pass rush.
Yeah, this defense, it's not just one big. I mean, there are issues, but it's not just one thing that's causing them. And I think it's a matter of consistency because they've gotten stops before. They had a stretch against Arkansas, I think 5 straight stops, whether it be a turnover on downs, whatever. So they've got to get more consistent in some of those areas. The running backs have been kind of consistent. Maybe individually there's been some ups and downs. Star Thomas started off the season pretty well. Deshaun Bishop has come on of late. Peyton Lewis was kind of up and down, had some good games, had some quiet games, and he stepped up the other night. What was sort of your takeaway from Darrell Sims on talking about his guys?
Yeah, a lot of talk about Deshaun Bishop playing well, obviously, the last couple games, and especially Saturday, career high 146 yards on just 14 carries before leaving with that injury, which, again, Josh Heupel said Monday doesn't expect that to be something that will keep him from playing Saturday. We'll see what that means, if he'll be limited at all, but at least the initial indications there have been good. But check in for the injury report Wednesday night, because you never know with any college coach these days. But Darrell Sims certainly, mostly encouraged by his group. I think, as always, some little things you can do better. Mentioned Star Thomas specifically. Needs to show a little more patience and not, I guess, kind of wait for his linemen to do their job before being so aggressive and hitting the hole and things like that. So Deshaun Bishop, that's one area I think he's excelled in, is being patient and setting up his blocks well, and seems to read the field well and have good vision. So definitely a group that's playing pretty well, but I think there's a little more out there for that group at the same time. Some ups and downs, like you said, between different guys. Peyton Lewis having a better game Saturday after having some struggles recently leading up to that game. So had a couple touchdown runs against Arkansas. So that group's kind of, there's been someone different to answer the bell each time, but certainly at a higher level they can still get to if they all play well and reach their potential.
Yeah, Darrell Sims talked about Bishop's acceleration too helping, because he's able to hit through those holes that he's setting up, those blocks, and is able to make guys miss the second level. That's why he's had the 25-yard run in overtime against Mississippi State, had some long runs against Arkansas. Going back to the defense, I think third down defense will be key in this game with the way Alabama likes to play ball control. I think the Tide are averaging about 34 minutes of possession, so that they're able to keep their offense on the field. So getting off the field is going to be important for Tennessee's defense. And so other pass rush. Good to see Daevin Hobbs back. He made an immediate impact against Arkansas. Was in that pass rush lineup that Tennessee's had before. They were able to kind of get back to probably the Rabbits package they planned to go with going into the season with Hobbs, Dominic Bailey, Joshua Josephs, and Jordan Ross has played himself into that role too. So that group was pretty effective. And Hobbs talked about just having to kind of wait and bide his time to get back on the field after his injury.
And he said he felt like he needed to knock off some rust. It didn't really show. Had a strip sack in his first game back, and he looked like, to me, Tennessee's most talented defensive tackle from his first game back. So pretty impressive return to form for him in his first game back after a really poorly timed injury, obviously, during preseason camp. and Tennessee needed him back. He talked a little bit. Of course, like any defensive lineman right now is going to get asked about that run defense, and there are things they can do better certainly on that front. But getting Hobbs back was a boost for this defense overall, and he's got some real pass rush ability that they've kind of missed. I think without him out there was really no one to kind of fill the shoes of Omar Norman-Lott to give them that interior pass rush. He certainly gives them a nice punch up the middle to help get to the quarterback without relying on those edge rushers.
Yeah, Tennessee will need their pass rush to step up. Alabama's had some issues in pass pro. These two teams, too, you look at them, very good top 3s and 4s of wide receiver. Alabama's got Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, Letsier Brooks, Isaiah Horton's a transfer from Miami that's been pretty good. And Tennessee's they've got 3 hot hands or 3 guys that could go off on any given day. And Mike Matthews, Chris Brazzell, and Braylon Staley. It was Staley against Arkansas, but Matthews said that it's tough for defenses to go up against receiving cores like that they can have anybody that can go off. And I think it was Bernard that was talking about going against Tennessee's man coverage, said it was, quote, a field of dreams.
Yeah.
My reaction is, well, you might want to play Tennessee in zone. They're that's probably a better matchup than just manning up against Colton Hood. But these receivers could be a lot of big plays, so both defenses are going to have to be, both secondaries are going to have to be on their game to kind of slow these receivers down.
Yeah, Alabama giving Tennessee a little bit of bulletin board material there. We'll see if that's repeated much after Saturday's game, if Tennessee were to win and have that to point back to. But yeah, I mean, certainly Mike Matthews, talking about the fact that it's a different guy each week. It seems like with this receiving core, it's been Chris Brazzell a lot. Saturday it wasn't his game, only 1 catch, dropped a touchdown pass. Just had a little more attention in terms of Arkansas's defensive coverages. But Braylon Staley had a lot of favorable matchups and took advantage of those. And I think they kind of know and feel that any of those guys are capable of having a big game from one week to the next. And they don't, he admitted he doesn't know who it's going to be. They don't know. They don't go in with a game plan of, if everything goes according to plan, today's going to be a big day for me or for Chris Brazzell. They just kind of have to see where the ball goes. That's how it is in the passing game usually, and they know they're all capable of doing that when the ball's thrown their way.
Plenty of coverage on the site now and through the rest of the week leading up to Saturday night's kickoff in Tuscaloosa. For Ryan Callahan, I'm Patrick Brown.